Welcome back to another episode of Two Average Husbands. I'm your host, Jake, and as you can see, we do have a special co-host of the night. Dane, go ahead and introduce yourself for anybody who doesn't know.
For anybody who doesn't know, I'm Dane Goodenough. I'm a longtime friend of Jake's and a short-time friend of Kyle's, even though he's unfortunately not here, but I will be your co-host of this week's episode.
Awesome. I know Dane is taking it easy tonight, but I am not. I've had a long week, and I need a drink, so I will be drinking It's Workforce Brewing out of it's a local brewery here in Illinois. It is their Sleepy Bear, which is a peanut butter honey bear stout. So I'm hoping it is absolutely delicious. And as you know, when Kyle hosts the episode with us, we always class it up a little bit, and we drink out of these fancy glasses. Because Dane's here, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to drink it out of a koozie, an insulated koozie, if it makes it any fancier.
Well, now you make me want to go grab a drink.
You can if you want. It's live. It's people will see you walking to get a drink, but I can edit that out for the later.
You always say edit it out, and then you never edit it out from what I hear. So
that happened one time, and that wasn't even my fault. That was YouTube's software being a little meh at best. But if you do want to go get a drink,
all right, you convince me. I'll be right back.
All right. Thank everybody for tuning in. As always, make sure you give us a follow on social media at 2 capital A lowercase VG husbands on Instagram. That is our handle on Twitter as well. We have created a Facebook page, which will be in the link tree down below. We will also have, as always, subscribe to us on YouTube. Give us a follow on iTunes, where this podcast is uploaded, as well as Spotify. We do appreciate everybody who's tuning in tonight. It's always a great time to have y'all out here. Dane is a really good friend of mine. Happy to have him on here. So he'll be back in right now with a drink. So, all right, Dane, what do you got tonight?
I got the one and only Blueberry Truly, because that's all we had in the fridge.
Hey, man,
so
they're delicious.
That's what I'm going to have tonight. I'm not going to put it in a fancy glass, but I will drink it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, well, since you are the guest and this is your first time guesting in a traditional fashion where you have to actually have topics to bring, I will go ahead and use my topics first. So, as you know, and anybody who knows Dane and I that, has ever talked to Dane and I, we play a lot of video games. That's why we were a little late tonight, admittedly. We were playing some Fortnite. We've recently been back into that game. But Dane, I want to make you use your brain a little bit to get the pod going. I will do it as well, but I want to know your top 10, doesn't have to be in order, but your top 10 favorite video game weapons of all time.
Top 10 video game weapons. Oh, I'm gonna have to do research just to make sure I don't mess up the names.
If you have a general idea, you gotta remember I've played pretty much every game that you have, so I can probably help you out there, even if you are lacking there a little bit. But I'll go first. I'll do 3 to start. 3 right, that I can think of off the top of my head. One is an icon for me. It's something that I'll never forget. Actually, the first 3 guns are all from the same game. So I'll just say it's Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, my favorite Call of Duty of all time, will never be beaten.
Those are my number 2. I was just about to say was from Modern Warfare 2, but continue.
So the first 3 that I'll bring up are the Modern Warfare 2 ACR, the Modern Warfare 2 UMP-45, and the Intervention, the bolt-action rifle for Modern Warfare 2. Those are by far like 3 of my favorite guns in video game history. They're iconic. I think a lot of people who have played those games would agree that those were kind of the meta guns. Meta wasn't really a term that was thrown around a whole lot back then, but those were basically the meta of any multiplayer game that you got into. So those are the first 3 that I can think of. So what are your first 3 that come to mind?
First 3 that come to mind have to be, I'm not going to know the name of it, but the original Halo machine gun has to be one.
Or the full auto one?
Full auto. I have to go, as a Zombies fan, I have to go the ray gun. You can't go past that. And then a third one, I have to think of what video games I've played.
Yeah, it was just called Assault Rifle, the Halo AR. But
I guess I can look stuff up right here.
The ray gun, that was going to be on my list as well. That's just truly iconic. It's one of the only guns that I think in every, people who don't play Call of Duty, people who have never played zombies even, they know what the ray gun is. It became such a part of gamer culture for such a long time. There's probably more people with ray gun tattoos than there are people that are alive. I'm kidding,
Oh,
but
I get what you mean, but now looking at it, just because I was such a big Halo fan, I'm so excited for this new one to come out. You got to go with the energy sword and the Spartan laser.
yeah, those got to be there. I agree
Those were
there.
a lot of fun.
I
Um,
was a big Halo 2 guy. That's really Kyle and I have talked about this. That Halo 2 is really the only Halo that I played a ton of. When they came out with Halo 5, I played a little bit, but not a ton. But Halo still is. It's such a nostalgic game for me. Like Halo 2, if they were to like remaster that game well, and I could play it on PC, I would lose my shit because that game
yeah.
was so much fun.
Well, I don't know. Just with this new one coming out, I'm super excited for it. I'm super excited to see what they bring to the table after I don't even know when the last one came out.
Yeah, it's
Um,
2016-ish, I think. I don't count Master Chief Collection, so whenever Halo 5 came out.
2015.
Yeah, so it's been a
20,
while. So
yeah.
hopefully they've delayed it a few times. I think at this point, so hopefully that means it's actually going to be a good game when it comes out. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Um,
But
another one that I think has to be on my list. So I'll get through, I guess, my first 5. So those 3 from Modern Warfare. Gotta say the Halo BR, the burst rifle for me from Halo. That was always my favorite one because you could just 2 burst people and it would rip through shields. But I'd say number 5 for me is the original pump shotgun in Fortnite before they nerfed it, when you could actually one pump somebody in the head. Like that was so much fun. Like that was
would
when
not be
Fortnite
on.
was Fortnite for me. But
I could probably speak for Kyle on this one. That was the most hated gun. That'd be on the top 10 for Kyle and I's most hated. I remember being very angry with that gun all the time, and you tried to make up excuses all the time, and I was not having it.
I'm like, Dane, you're just
So,
bad. You're like, I know, but I still hate it.
yeah, I know. I don't know. I did not like that gun because I was not good at the game. Uh, but just moving on to the next one, I gotta go with the original Assassin's Creed Hidden Blade.
Oh, see, yeah, you're going deeper than I am. Like as you know, like I've really only played the Assassin's Creed those few times that we played it at your house. Otherwise, I've never really like gotten into the games. I've never played them a ton. I don't know why. It's just never been. I'm not a huge story game guy, and I think that's part of it. But I don't know.
Yeah, I love single player mainly because I had such bad internet for the longest time that it
True.
really was all I could use. But yeah, Assassin's Creed. I'm looking at my other games right now, trying to figure out if I can uh, spark my memory a little bit. But
So other ones that come to mind for me, obviously I played a lot of battle royales, as you know. So I think that BR games kind of stick in my mind. So the R99 from Apex, I love that gun. That one is by far like I want to say it's the only gun in the game where you can one clip somebody. Like if you hit all of your bullets, it's one of the only ones that actually works the way that it's
yeah,
supposed to. So I love
I
that one.
I could give you that one. Geez, Apex. I can't even remember what those guns are called. Probably the Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Peacemaker with a choke. I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
what number of guns we're on, but yeah, that wouldn't
Well,
be my favorite by any means, but it's up there on the top 10.
so for you, you've got the Halo AR, you've got the Spartan laser and the energy sword. You said the hidden blade,
Yeah.
and you just said the peacekeeper from Apex on your list. So you're at 5. I think I'm at 6.
Oh, we're going to the full 10.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I'd have to go back to Black Ops 3 with the ICR. That was the only gun I ran that the entirety of that game.
Yeah, you did run that gun a lot. You were good at. I think you were better at that game than you probably think you were.
That was because that was the jetpack one. Yeah, that was anything pretty much with jetpacks. Oh, that reminds me of Advanced Warfare.
Oh yeah, the Advanced Warfare Bell. That has to be on the
Yeah.
list for me.
Yeah,
That
that's on
gun
there.
just. I still think we could probably do an entire episode on what games I think get a bad rep. I think Advanced Warfare gets a really bad rep from Call of Duty people just because it wasn't it was like the first jetpack game, really. And
Yeah.
I love that game. You and I played a ton of that game, and
Yeah.
I have no complaints. Yes, it was jetpacks. Yes, it was different, but I also really love Titanfall, so maybe that's why I liked it a lot.
I never played Titanfall, so I don't know much about that game. But oh, I keep looking. I keep looking. What else do I even have up here?
Gotta look at all
Oh,
your games.
well, yeah. It's I'm trying to spark memory, but
So
I
I
don't know.
think
I want what? Continue.
I was just saying I think I'm at 6. So if I were to think of a 7th that I really really enjoyed, um, the Call of Duty 4 M16, the burst fire one, that gun was legitimately broken. The
Oh yeah.
Deagle, the Deagle in that game was more broken, but I didn't find out it was broken until like way after the game came out. But the M16 was by far one of the most fun guns to use, just because you would literally just like boop boop and somebody was dead. It was like 2 taps of the trigger and they were gone. So
Yeah.
that one has to be on the list for me. I'm learning that I love guns that don't have a lot of skill and just kill people in like 2 bursts or 1 shot. Like that's pretty much my whole list. But
Hey, whatever works. But to go deep again, I'm gonna have to go with the No Man's Sky multi-tool.
never played it. Haven't
Yeah,
played a
see
second of
that
that
was a
game.
game I had so much fun with,
I
and
do remember
I mean,
that.
still to this day, I have so much fun with that game. That was a really fun weapon to use, really fun tool to use, and a just really fun game overall because it was so unique. Um, but that was my 7th. My 8th probably would have to be the Hellion Salvo from Black Ops 4.
Okay, yeah.
Not for multiplayer, but for zombies again.
Yeah.
That game was a lot of fun to use, and then probably also the Spitfire from that game. So there's I just canceled out. There's 7, 8, and 9. But
Yeah, see, you got to think of a 10th. You got to think of a real good one for the 10 while I go through my 8 and 9
a
here.
real good one for the
So,
10th.
one for me, probably the most nostalgic one, just because I think I have the most nukes ever just running the Akimbo 17 model 1887s before they got fixed in Modern Warfare 2, where you could literally have these like hip-fire shotguns that you run full speed at, and you could map people with them. I think that one is legitimately the most broken video game weapon of all time, and I think that one is by far probably like one of my all-time favorites. And then for number 9, I gotta try and think of some games that I've some additional games that I've played here. Let me see, Fortnite, COD,
Well,
Apex.
well, that's why I'm trying to find something like in Skyrim because
So here,
that was a fun game, but there was no one specific, pretty much any bow in that game, but that's
yeah.
not what I want to use as my 10th. But oh
So I'll
man.
say, I know you don't have really any experience with it, but the vector that was added to Escape from Tarkov, it is just the way that game is built. The vector kind of just completely shook up the meta. It shredded through armor. It had no recoil. Like it was a true point and click gun. And I think a lot of people hated it. A lot of Tarkov diehards really didn't like it, and because they're more traditionalists. They like the way that the game used to be played. But when that was added, it really shook things up, and I really like the addition of that to the game, and it's one of the most fun to use in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, my 10th one from me Googling pretty much his best video game weapons to spark my memory, I have to go with the Blades of Chaos from God of War. I
Yeah,
only played the most recent one, and I hate to admit I didn't even play it all the way through, but those weapons were so much fun every time you used them. And that I think is the perfect number 10 because 3 of my top 10 are even on the top 10 of most iconic ever.
yeah,
And those were some fun weapons to use.
yeah. Those are all really solid. My number 10 holds a very special place in my heart. I don't know why it does, but it's a gun that I can never get out of my head. Like when I think of a gun in a video game, my brain always goes to this. And I don't know why, because it's a game that I never even played a ton. But the portal gun. I
Oh,
think
see,
the
I never played.
I played through the game once, but I never did like there's so many Easter eggs and stuff, and like people have found like really weird routes and stuff in the game. I never played it like that, but just like the level of iconic, like when I hear gun, my brain literally goes to Portal Gun for whatever reason. I think it's one of my favorites too, just because of how creative that game was. It was one of the probably the most creative games of all time. But I really do think that Portal Gun is by far the most like iconic, great thing that has ever been put into the entire game.
Yeah, because I mean, name a game like Portal.
You can't.
You
really.
can't. I mean, it is just such a unique title.
So there is a new game that came out that's not. I don't want to say it's like Portal, but it's called It Takes Two, I believe. I don't know if you've seen this at all.
I've heard of it, but I haven't really seen much on it.
I think we should play it because I think it'd be fun, especially if we've been drinking. Because it's a lot of teamwork, and you and I, the way that we argue when we play games, it'll just evolve into us yelling at each other drunkenly for an hour and a half. So
I wouldn't doubt it.
I think that'd be a great time. But that was a nice and easy topic to start off the night. I don't think that one was too hard.
Well, no, mine get easier than that. I did not, when it comes to talk of it, I did not think of anything big brain or real smart to think about. Just real simple, not yes or no questions, but my topics are all easy.
All right. Well, let's hear what you got. What's the first topic that you've got for us?
Well, I got 6 of them just in case, but Bailey and I discussed for like all day today trying to figure out topics because
that is what Jess and I do, and you took all day, which respect. I text Jess like 30 minutes before an episode sometimes, and I'm like, hey, what should Kyle and I talk about tonight? Because I forgot to come up with topics, and I don't know where I put my list. I literally have like one of the it's like literally like a leather bound book that I got from work that I wrote all the topics in. Don't know where I put it.
Nice.
No idea. It might be in my office somewhere. It might be in the closet that's right next to me. I don't know. It's just gone.
Yeah, so. Bailey had been reminding me throughout the day to remember to do topics because I am extremely forgetful. But anyway, on to one of my topics, on one of the 3 we starred. Would you rather have a beach house or a cabin in the woods?
Ooh, that's okay. That's a really good question, actually. Let's hear your opinion first while I think of mine, because you probably I think I know what you would pick.
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious. What do you think I would pick?
You would pick a cabin in the woods.
Cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
Any day of the week. Something like Mount Carroll.
Oh yeah.
Something with acreage and a pond and with no limits. I mean, what would you do if money wasn't really an option and you can kind of get the acreage you want, or you can live on the water wherever you want? Which one would you rather choose?
If I'm thinking like with my heart of hearts, like I don't even know why I'm like acting like this is a hard decision. Like I would pick a cabin in the woods in the heartbeat. I don't get me wrong. I like beaches. I like going to the beach. I like the water. But for me, I like, especially like something like that would be like a vacation spot for me. It's not somewhere I'd want to like live permanently, but like somewhere that I could go as frequently as I wanted. Like that's what basically we had when my family had the lake house. Like it was just like, obviously we had a bunch of people who lived around us. There were tons of houses there. So in my ideal world, I wouldn't have all of that stuff, but just like somewhere I can go. And like you're saying, like I can be on a lake or a pond or something like that at a cabin in the woods. Like I can have boats, I can have jet skis, I can go fishing, I could go hunting if I want. Like there's so many different things that I could do there. Whereas I think with a beach house, like I think I'm just limited. And with a beach house, like I could still experience fun stuff. Like obviously, like if I'm on the beach, like if I were to pick somewhere to have a beach house, I'd probably pick like California, like right on the ocean. Like I think that'd probably be how I would do it. But that just seems like boring to me. Like I don't. To
me, the way I see a beach house is I see it as a vacation spot.
Yeah.
I feel like if I was at a beach for a month straight, I'd get bored of the beach because that's not my personality. I like to go on the water for a week and, experience the little things. But after that, I feel like I would want to be anywhere else with something to do.
Well, that's like what I was talking about with, I want to say it was with Kyle, but it could have been with somebody else. But we were talking about Jess like wants to be by the beach but doesn't want to live on the beach, and whoever we were talking to basically said it was Kyle, because when he lived in Florida he was near the beach. He was like living by the beach kind of kills the luster of it. He's like, you want it to be somewhere fun to go to, and when it's super easily accessible, it's just kind of meh. It's just like, okay, that's just the thing we do now. And I
Yeah,
think
once you
like,
have it every day, then it kind of takes away from what it actually is.
yeah, and like the only times I've really been to a beach were when I was in Hawaii. And that was one of the best parts of the trip for me, was being able to just like be on the ocean and just hang out there. But I do agree, like if that was all I did every day, like I just get so bored.
Yeah.
Like in
Well,
the
especially in Hawaii. I mean, I'm sure anybody else could argue their case that Hawaii has a million things to offer, but I feel like you're very limited, especially in Hawaii, with
Yeah.
what you can and can't do.
Yeah,
But
it's like, well, and for me too, like you and I both know, like we both are like, we were athletic guys, and we both like playing like we both like playing games that are outside. So like games like, Beersby, Can Jam, like we could play, like we could just get a bunch of people out there and play like baseball. This is dream world. Like I don't want to play baseball in the sand. Like knowing me, I'm gonna hurt myself and get fucked up real quick.
yeah,
But like playing out in the woods, like I think that'd be so cool. You could like, especially like you're saying, like money's no object. Like I could do whatever I want with the land. Like I could build a baseball field there. I could build a football field. I could build a driving range. Like I could build, one of the things that I always say was really cool and something that I want to do in the future when I own some property. Our friend Brownie, like at his house, where he's got like his house and then he's got that separate little like cabin shed thing where like
yeah,
you hang out and all, like that's where like you do stuff. Like even just having something like that, like I feel at a beach house I couldn't really have that. I'd have like a beach house and then I just have like another beach house. I just think
yeah.
that's weird. Whereas like this was literally like just a spot just for everybody to go hang out, and I thought that was super cool. And so I think having a cabin in the woods gives you a lot more flexibility, which is I think really
Hey,
cool.
I completely agree. I mean, my parents have the 22 acres, and we paintball and we
Yeah.
shoot pigeons, and I mean, we do a little bit of
I was gonna say,
everything. We,
what haven't we done on that property? Like,
I mean, we've had a lot of fun on that property. We had a lot of fun in the 500 acres in Mount Carroll, and I don't want to live any other way than that. I'm out in Reno in a neighborhood right now, and I'm just itching to find a
yeah,
place in the forest, Colorado or something, and just kind of get out of here and I don't know, have some acreage somewhere, be able to do whatever I want with nobody with their eyes on me. So
yeah, it'd be super nice too. Plus, I think like even if you have like money's no object, and I could seclude myself at the beach house, I think there's just something so unique about being like just in the woods and just like appreciating that.
yeah,
I've done it like every time I've gone camping in my life and gone out to the woods, like I've always really enjoyed it. And like we've even done it too where it's like we didn't bring really that much like food or anything like that. It's like we had to go fishing to eat.
yeah,
We had to do that. Like that kind of thing is so cool, and I don't think you really get that experience on the beach. Like you can fish on the beach and you can eat, but like you really, to get fish on the beach that are like worth eating, you like have to go out there, like to get
yeah.
like tuna or anything like that that's actually worth a damn, as opposed to just like eating some fucking sea bass every day. Like just boring.
But yeah, you also just have the seclusion,
Yeah.
which is nice, just being alone. And every beach I've ever been to always has somebody. You never find a
Yeah.
beach without somebody there, even if it's a secret beach that
I
nobody
was
knows about.
I was gonna say
Somebody's always there.
even private beaches, like you're dealing with 30 other people, and it's just I already like don't like being around people if I don't have to. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's an easy one for me. I know Jess would probably pick a beach house. She loves the beach. She'd probably pick that, but for me, it's definitely a cabin in the woods. I even tell Jess now. I was like, I could live in the middle of nowhere. Like as long as I've got decent internet, I'm fine.
Yeah, that's what we want to live in the middle of nowhere, somewhat close to a city or a town that
Yeah,
has something going on. But I mean, maybe I convinced Bailey to think like that rather than maybe she would have chosen a beach house 2 years ago, but not since I've been here. So,
yeah,
but yeah, that's definitely my choice by far.
yeah. That's one that really makes you think though. It's kind of like, what do you appreciate a little bit more? Do you like the prestige of a beach, or do you like the, kind of secluded personal feel of being in the woods? And
Yeah,
I'm a loner, so I'll take the woods any day of the week. Plus, like, everybody like a beach house. Like, if I want to do that, I can just Airbnb out a beach house. Like, it's hard to find like a good like cabin Airbnb. Whereas like
yeah,
if I own that property, like, and I can make it whatever I want, like sky's the limit there. Whereas I feel like with the beach, obviously, like I'm dealing with like the ocean right there. I just can't do as much.
That's true.
So,
But
yeah, that was a good one. That was a good topic. I'm gonna go a little bit more nostalgic with the topic for this one. It's always fun to talk about like, you know, gaming and stuff like that. But you and I have traveled a lot together. We've played a lot of sports together. So I want to know, like, what are some of the memories from when we played travel baseball that you think back to and they either like make you laugh or you're just like, it's something that we did and you're like, that was fucking stupid. Why'd we do that? Like just anything, you know, from our travel baseball days, which for us spanned what, like 4 years? 3 or 4
yeah,
years?
probably 3 years. Oh man, there's a lot of stupid that I don't know if I want to talk about on camera. A lot of the hotel stuff, things that make me laugh. How many times I've punched and kicked you off the bed while sleeping.
Oh my God. So when let me explain this because he never experienced this. He was fully asleep for all of this. But when we would go to travel tournaments when we were younger, we were on a little bit of a budget, so we didn't get it's not like everybody had their own room or everybody even had their own bed. We had 4 players to a room, so we had to share beds. And I would just like wake up in the middle of the night to this man just full bore, like kicking the shit out of my side, kicking me off the bed, like just in his sleep. Like he's just dream kicking me out of the bed. And this happened probably twice a tournament. So it's just...
Which is weird because I mean, not that I slept in the bed with a whole lot of people, but I mean, I've had sleepovers, I've slept on couches and floors, and nobody else has any other story like that except for you.
It's just me.
And I have no idea why. I don't know if it was the mood of the baseball tournament or what. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't like you when I was sleeping.
Hey man, I don't blame you. One of the things that I always like think back to, and it was really funny. Luckily for us, we ended up winning this tournament, so it didn't matter. But when we were at that wood bat tournament in Geneseo, it was the day before the last games of the tournament, and we were having like, we didn't give like, so long story short, this hotel fucked us over, and so we were pissed, and so we didn't care what we were doing in the rooms. And our coach at the tournament even kind of was just like, hey, y'all fuck something up, not our problem. He's like, our credit cards aren't on file anymore. These are comped rooms, baby. So we had like, I won't call it a food fight, but we were all kind of just like fighting with whatever we had in the room. So we were throwing pillows at each other. There's bags of food that are flying around. There's shoes that are getting yucked at each other. And I at like one point had to duck on the floor, and our buddy just like had a bag of pretzels in his hand, rolled over the bed and like spiked him on my face, and it hit me right in the eye. And I, for the entire day, like I couldn't see out of my left eye. So I played an entire, like this was our championship game. Like we're in the championship of the tournament, and I can't see out of one of my eyes. And so we're just like, we're playing this game, and I'm wearing sunglasses the whole time, so our coaches didn't know what was going on. But literally my eye was completely bloodshot. I couldn't see. And so I'm like, I still hit well. I still played the field just fine, but it's just one of those things.
You didn't hit well in that tournament. You got hit well.
No. You're thinking of Kenosha.
Oh, okay.
Kenosha was the game. I'll tell that story after this too. But Kenosha was where I got hit a lot. Geneseo, I hit well. That was the one where we have like the picture of us going like 4-0, and that's where the pinky meme got started of everybody making fun of my finger.
Well, because that was also the tournament we beat Geneseo in the championship game at their own tournament.
Yeah, we beat their varsity baseball team basically at a wood bat tournament on their own field.
And our team was a bunch of pretty much just high school dropouts of baseball, and
there was like 5 of us who were good, and then there was a few kids who were okay. And then, like, half the team was ass. Like, guys, if you're watching, I'm sorry, but you know it too.
Sorry, I gotta get my girlfriend her cowboy boots.
You're good. But, yeah, so it's just, like, that tournament, like, anytime we had a lot of success at a tournament was super cool. Something that was always fun. But, yeah, it's like we just won a baseball tournament. And not to toot my own horn, I think you can probably agree with me when I say this, Dane. I was one of the better players on that team. And to have one of the better players on the team be half blind for the championship game and to win it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it being a wood bat tournament, that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that tournament a lot. But one that my mom decided to text me because she is watching this. I don't even remember this, but apparently there was a time I was helping Dylan stretch right before a game, and he was laying on his back, and it was one of the knee tuck ones. And apparently I was staring him in the eyes, and he just looks at me and he's just like, "Don't stare at me in the eyes, Dane. That's weird. Don't do that."
Yes, I remember that. There was one where my back locked up on me, and so my mom was like cracking my back, and y'all lost your shit.
Oh, I gave you shit that entire weekend. That was after game number 1, and
I think Dylan made like a Vine of it. So if Vine was still an app, I remember that I found it one day when Dylan like followed me on Vine. But there was a Vine of like my mom cracking my back because it just completely like I was catching that game, and there was a play at the plate where the guy kind of like rocked me a little bit, and when he did, like my back just like seized up real bad. So it was like between innings and my mom's like cracking my back, and there's just a like Dylan just like a video of it.
It wasn't between innings.
Games. It was between
we were
games.
walking. It was the funniest shit because we were just walking, and all of a sudden you just kind of like collapse on purpose, and all of a sudden you're just like, "Mom, rub me out."
I was like, "Mom, crack my back, help!" And she just...
we're in the middle of like 200 people, and you're just laying on the ground with your mom just, Anya cracking your back, and it looked weird, and we made fun of you for the rest of that tournament and so on for that, and that was some of the funniest shit.
My back got cracked, and I think we won the next game, but I think we ended up losing that tournament. I mean, we only really won the one. We only won that Woodbat one.
We weren't a good team.
No, not at tournament play.
We were a bunch of misfits. I mean, there was only 3-4 guys on that team that could have made varsity ball and just decided not to.
Yeah, I mean, it was really like, I'm just going to call people out by name, but it was really like you, me, Dylan, Matt, and then Andrew was pretty decent. John had his games where he was okay.
John had his game maybe too.
Yeah. So again, I'm just airing laundry here. Do you remember the game where I was pitching, I had a perfect game going, and then John made an error, and then he made another error, and then he made another error, and so Dylan started yelling at him, and his mom started yelling at Dylan, and Dylan started yelling at his mom?
I do remember that.
That was...
We were a fired up team. We were a very vocal team. Our coaches sat in the stands with our parents and did not coach us.
Yeah, we basically ran the team ourselves. So we played rec ball with travel ball, and it was like we'd show up to the rec games. We're like, "What's the lineup?" And then Matt's dad would look at me and Matt and be like, "Whatever you guys want to do. I don't really care."
He'd hand us the sheet, and we just kind of make our own lineup.
Yeah, he would be like, Jake's supposed to pitch today. It's Jake's day on the schedule, and that'd be like the only thing that would be planned. Be like, "All right, Jake, go get your work in."
Yeah,
that was fun. But yeah, so back to the Kenosha tournament that Dane's talking about. So there was, again, we always have problems with the home team at a tournament for whatever reason. Maybe it's because we were always the one who was traveling, so we were coming from the farthest away to play these tournaments.
Well, we were also not me. I was never loud. You guys were Dylan and Matt. You guys
mostly. It wasn't even really Matt. It was me and Dylan.
Yeah, you guys like to piss people off. You like to be loud. Even if we were losing by 10, you guys like to be loud and just really get people going and anger some people, and you did it. You were successful every tournament.
So we were at this tournament. We had lost to this team in the first game. Not by much. It was a good game, but we lost in the first game. We win the next 2 games that we played, so we made playoffs. And so we're playing our first playoff game. Because we were a low seed, we had to play an early game. So I think we were there. It was like 9 in the morning, 10. It was early, but it wasn't too bad. But we're playing the game, and we're up by like 15. We're just kicking the shit out of this team. So I tell Dylan, I'm like, hey, I'm going to play third for the rest of the game. Like, let's work on back picks. Because we knew the team that we were playing in the next game, which was the home team at this tournament, we knew that they took aggressive leads at third to try and piss off the pitcher. So I'm like, we know this is coming. Let's work on our back picks here. So where he just receives the ball as a catcher and just yucks it down the third. So I was like, let's work on this. And we had like 3 in a row where we mistimed it. We didn't matter because we were going to win the game regardless. And so the other the home team is talking shit on the third baseline. And so I'm over there. I'm like, I don't even remember what I said, but I was like, shut the fuck up or something like that. And I pointed at a guy who was talking shit. He hit a home run off of me in the first game, so I think I just already didn't like him. And then sure enough, we beat the first team, so the Kenosha team starts warming up, and then we're playing with them, or we're playing the game, and it's my first at bat, first inning, and I don't know the pitcher. The pitcher didn't pitch in the first game against us. He wasn't one of the kids that I was really talking shit to, but first pitch, fastball, right in the middle of my back. I'm like, all right, probably had that one coming. I was talking a little shit. I can take a pitch. I probably had the most hit by pitches of anybody on our team ever.
Well, you had, I think, 4 in that one game.
4 in that game.
I was going to say, they did not like you.
So we put up a pretty good spot in that first inning. I think we put up like a 7 spot. So we had a pretty good lead. I had thrown a lot, so I was on a pitch count, so I couldn't throw. Matt was on a pitch count, so he couldn't throw. So we were running out guys where we were just like hoping that it worked. So the game got pretty close again. So they brought in another pitcher who was the guy who hit the home run off of me, and it was the guy I was talking shit to. First pitch fastball, right in the back. Like, whatever. Fuck it. I go to second. Next at bat, same thing. First pitch fastball, right in the back. And that's when I started to get pissed. And then I didn't really get mad until I was standing on first and not taking a lead, and he like tried to pick me off. I was like, all right, it's gonna be like this. Okay. So next at bat, I walk up. I'm not even holding the bat right. Like, I'm just like, whatever. He's gonna hit me. First pitch fastball, right in the back. I look at the umpire. I'm like, are you gonna fucking say something or do I have to? And then their coach comes out of the dugout to start talking shit to me. My dad was our first base coach. My dad almost gets into a fight with his 90-year-old geriatric fuck. And then, yeah, long story short, the next at bat I went up. I hit a triple to the fence, and we still ended up losing because we ran out of pitchers. But that was the closest I ever got to like really fighting somebody on a baseball field. Like, that was.
I was ready to go at that. At that tournament. I mean, I don't fight. I don't talk shit. I don't fight, but I was ready to go. You guys had me heated, ready to start swinging on somebody.
He wasn't just hitting me. He hit Dylan 3 times too. Like, this guy had like 6 hit by pitches.
Yeah, but it was home team.
And then never hit anybody else. It's like, okay, we get it. You're angry, and your fucking 72-mile-an-hour fastball is really gonna hurt my back. Like, oh darn. Yeah. Hey,
we had fun though.
We did.
That was one thing, we lost a lot of tournaments, but we probably had the most fun out of anybody. We were always hollering and hooting in the dugout and out in the stands and out in the field. We had a lot of fun.
Do you remember it was pregame it was a night game that we had at one of the tournaments. We went to like Ruby Tuesday or some shit. You ordered spaghetti, and they literally gave you like rock hard noodles. Like, they overcooked the shit out of it. This man had no food. He like, it was. We were on a time crunch, so we couldn't even really like order more food for you. Like,
I remember that because we walked in like 15 of us on a time crunch, and we're like, we'll be fine.
We'll be fine. Yeah, they served this man
not after that
pasta. He had literally his dinner was like half of my fries from my burger, and then we went.
Hey, I'm all good with that. I love fries.
He made it work, but yeah. We could probably do an entire episode on just those travel tournaments and how much fun.
I'll end it with this one. Do you remember how we were? So our division was 3 teams, us and 2 other teams. The other 2 teams were freshmen and sophomores who just didn't make the team. So I mean, we were beating these teams like 36-2 and just outrageous numbers.
Yeah.
The final tournament, we walk in, we are so cocky. And we are so just like, we're going to wipe through this team. The team in last place is totally defeated. I mean, they're 0-25 or something. We're 25-0. They beat us by 6 because we are so cocky. We threw in just.
No. So you might have missed this part.
Maybe I'm remembering wrong, but.
They had. So their roster was like 18 kids. We looked after the game. 9 kids, their entire starting lineup basically in that game against us were kids that they were weren't on their roster. They just brought kids and had them wearing different kids' jerseys. Like, so they just they were like tired of losing.
Okay, yes.
So they brought like an entire like
like their
18U travel
varsity
team.
team or something.
Yeah, it was like an 18U travel team. Like this team's coming out of nowhere, throwing like high 80s, low 90 fastballs, and we're like, what the shit? You guys haven't won a game all year. This guy's just showing up out of nowhere, and we called him on it, and the ump was just like, nothing I can do. I can't check rosters. We're like, that's no, you can. It's
Well,
legal.
it was also a Wasco league, so nobody gave a shit.
Yeah.
So the ump wasn't gonna give a shit. I mean, but yeah, I just remember. I mean, they went 0-25 or 0-30 or whatever it was. We were beating them by 25 runs minimum every game, and then they came in and like smoked us, no problem. Went on to win the tournament of 3 teams, but
Yeah.
oh that.
Oh man.
That pissed me off a little bit, but you know,
Yeah, I wanted another trophy. I don't keep.
at the end of the day, again, I don't know, we were the team who always had fun. Win, loss,
Yeah.
get smoked, smoke somebody. We always had a good time,
Yeah.
and that was why I love that team so much more than varsity baseball.
Yeah, I like that so much more than high school ball. I played on other travel teams too, and that one was just like, even though it was like the I don't want to say the least talented team that I was on, but it was probably like the least competitive travel team that I played on. But that was still that was still so much more fun. Like we just everybody for the most part liked each other on that team. It was a good time. I've got no complaints about all of the time that I spent on that team. So that was those were fun.
That was the one team I would do over again.
Yeah.
Maybe Auburn Express, but I don't know. I had a lot of fun on that Wasco team.
Yeah, that was a great team. A lot of great dudes. Maybe we'll get a couple of those guys on the pod one day, and we'll introduce them all to Kyle, and Kyle will be like, "Yeah, that's why these kids are fucked up. They hung out with these idiots." So
that would be a fun podcast because my memory sucks. So you guys could all tell me stories of what I did back then. The number of
times where we tell stories and then Dane's eyes are just like, "Oh shit, I remember that now."
Yeah,
there'd be a lot of them from those travel tournaments.
I have the memory of a squirrel, so I don't remember.
All right.
Anyway,
what do you got for topic number 2 here?
Oh, topic number 2. I gotta choose one because there's a couple. All right, Bailey and I put a lot of thought into this one today. But if tomorrow was your last day, what would you do? You had 24 hours, and the way I described it to her was it's already pre-planned, you know, there's no travel time. There's no like having to worry about, say, me come to you or anything like that. Like everything's pre-planned. You could be wherever you want with whoever you want. What would it look like?
So, damn, that's like a really deep one. You were like, no, mine are easy. Like making me think about my last day on Earth. Oh, shit.
You know, it was easy when I was talking about it with Bailey, but we also spent an hour talking about that one topic. So,
yeah. So I think like the first thing that I would do is I'd want a good portion of the day in the morning anyway. Like I want to spend time with my family, obviously. And so like one thing in my family, like everybody in our family does is like we always get together and we play either there's a dominoes game that we always play or like card games. So I'd want to spend time with them doing all that. So that'd probably be, you know, if I have to like compartmentalize it, like that'd probably be like 4 or 5 hours right at the start of the day. I'd obviously want to spend time with, you know, you and Bailey. You know, you're one of my best friends, so I'd want to, you know, spend some time with you, spend some time with Kyle. So I'd take up a good chunk of the day just doing the same dumb shit we always do. Playing drinking games, just shooting the shit, you know, just, you know, really just, you know, especially like, do I know it's my last day? Like,
yeah, you know it's your last day. You could plan anything you want. Don't have to worry about expenses. Don't have to worry about travel time. And I'm not saying like, oh, I want to be in Greece and then I want to be in Canada and then I want to be in Mexico. No, like you could be wherever you want and that's where you're at for the day. And you don't have to worry about getting there. You're just there for the day.
Yeah. So I'd want to take you, Bailey. I'd want Kyle and Carly there. I'd want, obviously, you know, my wife, Jess there. I'd want to be probably at my lake house. Like if I could like have that back, like if we could all just like hang out there for a while, you know, drink there. We could have, you know, it's not nighttime at this point, but we'll have a bonfire in the middle of the day. We'll be playing games. We'll be out on the water. We'll be, you know, doing all that stuff. And then like that would probably take up a good chunk of the day. And then I just want to spend like my last like 8 hours just with my wife and the dogs. Like
Yeah.
just really just like soaking up like every last little bit of the time that I have left with them. Like I don't want to claim to be like a family over everything guy because I'm really not. Like I love my family, but there's just situations like that have come up where it's like, certain parts of my family like don't agree with the way that, I do things or that my family does things. So like not every person in my family is like super important to me, but like my family, like don't get me wrong, like my parents and everything, they're my family, my grandparents, aunts, uncles,
Yeah.
cousins, all of that stuff, they're my family. But like Jess and the dogs and what we have, like that's truly my family. Like they're
Yeah.
the people I spend every single day with. I spend every second possible with them. Like they're the ones that I would really want to be with for like the last bit of time that I have on earth. Like I don't think like, not that I don't love you, Dane, and I don't love spending time with
I
you,
don't blame you. I mean, that's how my day is gonna get wrapped up when
but
we
like
get around
those,
to it.
I'd probably find a way to squeeze a Cubs game into that day too. Just watch the Cubs like mollywop the Cardinals or something like that. But yeah, I just want to spend the day with the people that I love. Like that's ultimately
Yeah.
what it breaks down to. Like I just, I could have possessions. I could have, like you're saying, like you brought up, like I could be in Greece, I could be in Canada, I could be in Mexico, I could be in all of these different places, but like ultimately, like none of that matters to me if I'm not there with the people that I want to be there with.
Yeah.
So it's all about spending time with the people that I truly care about.
Yeah. That's understandable. I mean, that's pretty much how my day would end too. My day would end definitely with Bailey and the dogs and probably just hiking but I don't know. Mine would have to start in Mount Carroll, start and end in
Oh
Mount
yeah,
Carroll.
definitely.
I don't see any other place it could be.
It really
I,
like I couldn't pick a better place for you. Like that's
I
really like it. Like
yeah,
that's
I just feel like my family waking up at 4 a.m., going for one more bow hunt in the morning, all of us together, and I don't know, just spending the day there, being able to have friends come up and have a good time through the early morning and afternoon playing drinking games and going swimming and going on quad rides and then just kind of as the day goes on just have that group kind of get smaller and smaller to the more important people.
yeah.
Have a dinner, not that it would be possible to have a domo cooking on the hill at
Hey
Mount
man,
Carroll, but have
you
a
said
domo
you said anything goes, baby.
have a domo dinner on the hill overlooking the pond and be able to sit around the fire and have just telling stories. I mean, with what happened to Tyler. I mean, we sat around telling stories. If it was my last day, I feel like that's exactly what I'd want to happen.
Yeah.
Have it as a celebration rather than people mourning that I'm going to be gone or anything. Just having a good time and then probably ending the night with flashlights and Bailey and I and the dogs going on a nice long hike and I don't know, making that hike last as long as I could and saying goodbye to everybody. I don't know. I didn't mean to make it like a sad thing. My last day. I feel like it would be full of. I don't. I
Well, and
wouldn't want. I wouldn't want tears. I would want everybody having a good time.
and
Celebrating.
and I think that's something that was very common in both of like the way that you and I both like talked about it there was both of us were very much like we don't want our last day to be like I've even told Jess like I was like when I die like don't mourn me like celebrate the time that you had with me and like just appreciate like what
Yeah.
we got to do together. Like I think that's the way that most people probably want it. And I think that was common in kind of both of the way that you and I both described it. Like we want our last day to be what we want our life to be. Like I think ultimately,
Yeah.
like especially if you know it, like if you know your time's coming, like I think you're not gonna sit there like being like woe is me. Like you always hear
Yeah.
about it, like the people who like find out that they have like a terminal illness or something like that. They spend the time that they know they have while they still can, like just living their life to the fullest. And I think that's ultimately like what both of us would do on our last
Yeah.
days.
Well, and I live my life very, very happy, very,
Yeah.
kind of go with the flow, very nonchalant and relaxed. And the last thing I would want is the last day to be all stressed out and tears. And I don't know. I would like to die as I lived, and I'd be happy and with the people I love and having a good time because that's what I'm known for.
Bro, you already told me
So,
I don't have to deal with traffic on my last day. I'm I'm good there.
Yeah, true that. Fuck, man. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to put a downer on the podcast. I just
No,
Bailey
I
and I
mean,
talked about it for an hour today, so I just thought it'd be a good topic to just curious to see what you'd bring up and where you'd bring it up at. And the lake house, the lake house is so much fun. I only
bro,
went once. I should have gone so much more,
bro,
but I
it was
only went
just
once, and that was one of my favorite weekends.
I
I've
always
never been yelled at by your dad so many fucking times in a weekend. Holy
I
shit.
I'm so mad that we got rid of that house when we did, because it's like we had it for most of my childhood, like from really when I was like 11 until I think we sold it. We just looked this up the other day. I think we sold it in 2017, so that was like 4 years ago. So we had that house from probably when I was like 11 till when I was 22, and
Yeah.
like that's when I was the busiest. That's when I was in college. That's when I was working. That's when I was at baseball tournaments. Like that's when I couldn't use it. And now that I'm like 26 and like I don't fucking have anything to do on the weekends, I'd be out
Yeah.
there like every other weekend. Like it sucks not having
Yeah.
it. And it's like I wish I could have gotten you guys all out there more, because it's like you said, it was so much fun being out there. Like
Well, it's just one of those places like Mount Carroll. It's just when you go, it's always a good time.
yeah.
I mean, there's never a bad time there because there's always something different to do. And I mean, like I said, I only went once, but I heard the stories. It was a fun place to be. It was a happy place to be. And
Yeah.
it was always a good time, always good people. Everybody was always in good spirits.
It's because we were drunk 90% of the time. But yeah.
Hey, that's okay. That's what you got to do what
Hey
you got to
man,
do.
that place was so much fun, and there was so much that we did there that like you wouldn't even think of. Like there was a ski hill 30 minutes from there, so like we'd go skiing in the winter when we go out there, and it was also
I
like
didn't even know that.
yeah, like you all never really got a chance to come out there when it was still open. It closed when I want to say when I was like 16 or 17.
Okay.
So I was a little bit older or younger when it closed. So before, like, we had been friends for a couple of years, but I didn't know you all were into like skiing or anything like that, or I would have
Yeah.
tried to get you out there. It wasn't anything crazy. Like I don't know the ratings.
Yeah, it was
of-
Iowa. I mean, it
Yeah.
was you're
But
you're
it was
not looking
fun.
at mountains, you're looking at just little hills, but
But
a
they still
good
had
time
like
nonetheless.
they had ramps and rails. They had like the half pipe still
Yeah.
built there, so there was plenty like that you could do if you were talented enough. So it was still super fun.
Yeah.
And then also attached to it was a giant tubing hill. So you would
Oh,
like
that's cool.
you'd lay on the
Yeah.
tube and then you'd hook onto the lift and it would take you all the way up, and then
Yeah.
you'd go down and you'd literally be going like 50, 60 mile an hour down this hill. It was so
Yeah.
much fun. But like you don't think like that's Iowa again. Like like you don't think of that being a thing that you can do there. Like
Yeah.
on our property, it was built on a hill, so we would even just like we would like take the little like saucers or like the little like surfboard
Yeah.
kind of things that you get. We'd go down the hill and we'd end up like halfway out on the lake. It was all frozen over, so it didn't matter. But like there's actually a fun, not a fun story. It's kind of shitty for the family that it happened to, but like there was people who were ice fishing and they took their truck out on the lake and the ice broke. So there's a Chevy Suburban in the bottom of that lake somewhere. Really great fishing spot. Fish love that area. But yeah, like we had a bass boat, so we could go fishing. We had a pontoon boat, so we just go anchor out and chill. We had the jet skis. Later on, we had not a speed boat, but a faster boat too. So we'd go tubing, we'd go skiing, wakeboarding. Like there was so much to do there, and just like places like that. Like now, I would use that house so much. I told my parents when they were getting ready to sell it, I was like, what do y'all want? I was like, I'll pay for part of the mortgage on this place. Like, I don't care.
That place.
I looked up how much they sold it for, and I get why they sold it. But
Yeah.
it's just like one of those things is like we had it at the worst possible time. Like,
Yeah.
And now to have it would be it'd be like a Mount Carroll, but like on a lake.
Yeah. Hey, I wish I would have. I mean, you always talked about it with me. I wish I would have taken more advantage of it. I just never did. I never did. And by the time I did, it was like 6 months later, it was gone.
You came when we were like 6 months before we were selling it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't that long afterwards that we were getting rid of it. So,
Yeah,
fun story about how, since he brought it up, I'm going to tell the story of how Dane got yelled at by probably the first time ever by my dad, where he like actually was mad.
Oh my God, he was pissed.
So what happened at the lake house, and the main reason that we ended up selling it was it flooded. The pipes burst and it flooded when we were gone. So we had to remodel the whole house. So there was a bunch of shit that we were getting rid of, and it flooded every floor. So there was water damage on the third floor, the main floor, and the basement. So we were on the main floor, and like I said, it was built on a hill, so the basement had a walkout. So we were pretty high up on the deck, and we had these old speakers that were connected to the old TV that we had up there. And my uncle was like,
Who is a very bad influence.
Terrible.
Very bad influence.
He would even admit that he's not a good influence, and he appreciates that he's not a good influence. He loves living his life like that. So he's the one who's taught me, like, the reason I have such a like dark humor is from him. Like he's great. You've met him, you know. People who haven't met him, if y'all haven't met Uncle Perry before, you're missing out. But we were on the deck, and there was these speaker stands that were made of solid wood. They weren't overly heavy, but they were like, had a decent weight to them.
Yeah.
And he was like, I bet you can't throw these into the fire pit. Mind you,
which had to be what? 30 yards, 20 yards,
probably 30 or 40 yards from us, and but we were throwing downhill, so it wasn't that bad.
Impressive of a throw. I mean,
yeah. So I'm like, challenge accepted. So I throw mine, and mine goes long. So Dane's like, oh, I'll be fine. We had Adirondack chairs that were hand built, so giant wooden chairs that are just lining the front side of this fire pit. So Dane, seeing that I threw it long, was like, I'm not gonna throw it as far. So he throws it a little bit higher, and it lands right on the arm of one of these Adirondack chairs. And the arm literally just explodes. Just pieces of wood flying everywhere. My uncle just looks at us and is like, ugh, didn't see that one coming. And you were
That's exactly what he said. He was just like, I didn't even anticipate you guys would have hit the chairs.
And so we were out there first. We were like, us and my uncle were the first people out there. So we had like 6 or 7 hours before my dad showed up, and my dad gets there, he gets unpacked. My dad always gets angry when he travels, so he was already just like naturally kind of annoyed. And we're like, hey, we got to tell you something. One of the Adirondack chairs isn't in quite the same shape that it was when we started. He's like, what do you mean? And then we told him what happened, and he was just like, you guys are a bunch of fucking idiots. I can't believe you would listen to him. Why would you do that? And he was just like, and as a result, he was just like kind of annoyed at us the entire trip. But it was still a blast, like you said. But he would just like make little snide. He got over it pretty quickly. Like we still have those chairs, and it still hasn't been fixed, so it clearly wasn't that big of a deal. But like he would just make like.
But your dad held a grudge that weekend. He definitely held a little bit of a grudge. He was angry.
He made little snide remarks all fucking weekend. But hey, it was worth it. That was a great trip.
That was a good time. It's a very good time.
All right. Well,
have you rated your beer?
Not yet. I just finished it. I'm gonna give it like a 6.9. I've had another one of like so Sleepy Bear is like a style of beer that they do. It's kind of what they call their Imperial Stout, and they have other flavors of it. And the other flavors that I've had are a lot better than this one, but this one's solid. I'll give it like a 6.1.
All right. I thought you said 6.9 to start.
Did I? That's what I meant.
6.9 or 6.1?
6.9.
Well, as a side note, real quick, because my mother is texting me during this, she wants to say that I broke your chair just like you broke our kitchen chair.
Hey.
Why don't you tell that story?
I feel like you can probably tell it better than I did.
I feel like I had too much to drink and don't remember the fine details.
I remember that I stood on the chair. You told me to stand on the chair, so I did.
Oh yeah, it was you were on the counter.
Yes.
And I told you to step down onto the chair,
and
but you jumped. You did like you didn't like jump, but you did like a little. You just kind of did like a.
I was just fat.
And you hit the back. And you hit the back end of the chair, and it went down. And I mean, it just shattered.
It did. That did
happen. That was so funny and so difficult to explain. Actually, it wasn't difficult at all. I just told him that it was your fault, and I had nothing to do with it.
I offered to pay for the chair. I said I will pay to fix it. I will buy a new one. I was like, whatever I got to do. I felt terrible about that. I still do. Dean and Kim, I apologize for that chair. I am so sorry. I didn't mean to break it. It was not Dane's fault. It was my fault for being an idiot, but your son definitely influenced it.
Well, I'm also a bad influence, so you shouldn't listen to me ever.
I mean, probably, but also I did, and I'm going to continue to do it. You're going to continue in our future to tell me to do dumb shit. I'm probably going to do it. I haven't learned my lesson apparently, so
Well, my parents also weren't that mad because we broke a lot of stuff at our house.
I
Playing
didn't. I didn't
playing
break a lot of
hockey
stuff.
in the basement, and just having too many parties. We broke a lot of stuff, so it's not like there weren't plenty of other things that got broke, but that is definitely one that sticks out
Yeah, that was a
because that was just
memorable
a dumb
experience.
move on your part,
I don't.
completely.
Hey man, that's when I was fat. The chair that was probably pretty close to when I was at my heaviest too. So I was like a solid like 240 when that happened.
Yeah.
I'm like 160 now, so I'm a fraction of the man I once was. But when that happened, I was a big boy, and that chair was not prepared for it. Let's put it that
No,
way.
no, it was not prepared for us after a few beers. That's for
No,
sure.
it was more than a few. This was like 2 in the morning type shit.
Oh, I don't. Well, if you were on the counter, I would hope it was 2 in the morning type of shit.
It was
So,
real late. Man,
oh, they were given to us for free, and you left money on the counter. So,
yeah, that sounds about right.
or I left money on the. Somebody left
I'm
money
pretty
on the
sure
counter.
I left money on the. I'm pretty sure I took money out of my wallet. It was like, I'm just gonna leave it here. If they find it, they find it. But I felt so.
So
bad.
no bad blood. No bad blood. I made you feel bad for it, but
You did.
no bad blood. Well, because it was one of those times where I was like, oh, my parents are never gonna let me have a party here again. Like, oh boy, this is bad.
And then
Little did I know that was a lie.
the next weekend we.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
Oh man,
We partied a lot.
we did. We got a lot of good stories. We could probably do a whole episode having you on here. Just we could talk all of the different, like, tell stories about different parties at your house. The time you fell asleep under the ping pong table. That's always a good one.
The time Tyler fell asleep on the pool table. Oh wait, no, that was Mount Carroll.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't remember that one.
That was a good one. There was the one where we were jumping over the fire
Yep.
and Al slipped in the fire. That was fun. There was the time we paintballed around the fire while drunk.
That also happened.
We had a lot of good times. A lot of good times at our house.
All of the wrestling that happened in your basement.
There was a lot of injuries that came out of that. Wrestling on concrete floors was a dumb idea.
I have a scar on my middle finger from we were wrestling, and I don't know, like, we ended up by the pole somehow, and like my arm went out and I just hit the pole and it just like cut my finger. And
When the bricks are on it?
yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I've got like a cut.
Yeah.
I've literally got like a triangle shaped scar on my finger from like catching it on those those pillars.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
There's
Yeah,
a lot of stories.
We've had a lot of fun there, that's for sure.
We definitely have a lot of fun. Well, we will go ahead and call the episode there. Dane, thank you so much for stepping in for Kyle this week. I know he wishes he could be here. As always, we've told you before, you're always welcome on anytime you want to come on. We'll always, be happy to have you. Everybody who decided to tune in this week, thank you all so much. We appreciate it. Make sure you give us a like, give us a follow, give us a subscription on YouTube, give us a follow on Spotify. We appreciate all of it. I'll try and post this as soon as I get some of the parts edited up on it. But thank you all for coming out here. Dane, if you want to say anything, I'll let you take it away for a minute before I wrap up fully.
Well, I just want to say thank you for having me again. I mean, as nervous as I get, and I've been nervous since like Wednesday night about this, knowing it was coming. But I have so much fun with these, and learning so much more about myself that I didn't know is always a good time. But
learning all this
it's fun to be on here. I do like doing these. You need to send me a better webcam than you did. But yeah, thank you again. I have a lot of fun with these, and hopefully I'll be on again soon.
Of course, man. Definitely happy to have you back. Make sure, again, you guys all give us a follow at 2AVG Husbands on Instagram and Twitter. 2 Average Husbands, the words all spelled out on all other social medias. Thank you all for tuning in, and have you a great night, everybody.